My name is Martina Evans. I'm a poet and novelist and books critic for the Irish Times. In a previous life, I worked as a radiographer for 15 years. The Coming Thing is my 13th book, and it's been in the making for over 30 years. And it was in the early 90s that I first started to write a book about an Irish girl coming to England for an abortion. I lived in Ireland in the 80s through the referendum, the death of Anne Lovett, the Kerry babies. Women with unwanted babies were treated very badly by our supposed moral guardians. There was so much hypocrisy around the care for children, born or unborn. So many contradictions around mothers and babies. And although these contradictions are not confined to Ireland or the 1980s, I set the poem in Cork among some young wannabe punks in 1981. And The Coming Thing originally was referring to computers, which were just beginning to make their presence felt. But ultimately, it refers to the abortion that Imelda will have in a Brixton clinic at the end of her first year at university. It's also a celebration of the city of Cork and of the language that Corkonians use. Over the years, I tried many different forms: novel, short story, novella, prose poem, before The Coming Thing finally found its shape in 75 14-line monologues. And some people might call them sonnets, but I think of them more as camera frames. Where did I work on this book? This is hard to pin down, 30 years in the making. Typing on a dressing table that was also my desk in a flat in Holloway in the 90s. In my head, wandering the corridors of hospitals, on the kitchen table in London with the laptop sitting on top of a map of Cork City, but mostly in bed because that's where I most like to write, especially poetry. How did it feel putting this collection together? Once I found the right form, I really enjoyed it, especially working with John McAuliffe, because I felt he understood exactly where I was coming from. But it's quite scary to write a funny book about something so serious. And every time I opened the Word document, I felt like I was descending into the underworld. But my humour comes from that dark place. Recently, someone was talking to me and they were surprised at such a dark turn of mind. And they said, "But your books are funny." And I said, "That's why I write, to cheer myself up." And the last... Sorry, I'll just leave that go. Last question. Favourite poem in the book? I love the way people from Cork use language, and The Coming Thing, as I said already, is a celebration of that. But Cork people use the word cat as a derisory term, and I really hated that. In the same way that I hate the way people have, cat person versus dog person. Some people just want to take sides. And there was a lot of side-taking in 1981. The pro-life amendment campaign was founded in Ireland in that year. Sectarianism was rife in Northern Ireland as it was being torn apart, and the hunger strikes were on. So this is monologue 21. Smokey. Myra Curtin's cat sat on a stool and Pierce played Billie Holiday, who sounded like a cat. That was a compliment to Billie from me, even though cat was an insult in Cork. Dora got mad with Carl when he said the Chips and Mandy's were fucking cat. She said cats were victims of sectarianism, only she wouldn't say if Protestants were cats or dogs, when Tom asked, because that was only more of it. Smokey had chocolate-coloured tears in his eyes and on his blue-grey cheeks, a spotted red bow around his neck. He looked French. Myra said, "Don't ask me a word about that cat and his dark tears, because it breaks my heart." Myra's eyes were on Pierce, polishing the same pint glass with a black and cream Guinness tea towel, looking up as if his own words floated on the ceiling. And Dora wrote them all down in a pale green Aisling copybook with a round tower and a flock of swallows on the front.